All right, we are back in the booth, and what we're going to do today is we're just going to do a little sunfish pumpkin seed pattern on a DT10, and I've already put a coat of just custom white. Any white will do. I just choose that one. I like it. And then what I'm going to do is, I've got a few colors out here. I'm kind of just playing around today with this. I'm gonna go with this one first. This is a light green, yellow shade. I'm just gonna put a little bit of this on before I do my stencil work. And we'll get this black ready to go. And we'll put a little bit of this in the gun as I splash it all over me. And all I'm gonna do is just put a little bit up on the shoulders of this. Just enough, just faintly enough. Okay, so let me get the gun cleaned out and we'll come back. All right, so we got the gun cleaned out. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of orange near the belly. So we'll get it shook up. Just all you need is really about as much as I spilled on my thumb, a couple drops. You're not putting a lot on here. Spraying on about 20. And I'm just going to come across the belly area. I mean, there's two ways that you can actually do this. You can do white and do the stencil work and then come over it with a candy. I'm just doing it in reverse this time. And I still may use some candy on this bait. I'm really just kind of playing around with it. So then we'll get our gun ready for the stencil work. All right, so I've got that dry and I got some black in the gun. The stencil we're gonna be using today is one from Insane Custom Stencils. It's a Pumpkinseed small stencil for a smaller bait. But what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna take some of this ribbon, and I've got a roll of it. I've had it for about 10 years. And I can't remember what it's called, to be honest with you. But to me, it just, a pumpkin seed's got a kind of a unique effect around the eyes and the gill. And I'm gonna do that on this bait, just around the eyes. And you can do this by just wrapping, just kind of doing it with your hand. I'm not gonna do a lot on this. So I'm really on low pressure. I'll do that, and then I'll come back and do the other side. And it's just, you're just pulling it tight. It's not just doing the gill, the eye. It just kind of gives it I call it a lightning effect, but it does look like, it makes it look like a pumpkin seed. And I'm gonna darken the eye. Okay. Sorry about the compressor, guys. All right, and then I'm gonna take the stencil, but I'm not gonna spray it over the entire thing. I'm gonna kind of use the tail, about where the tail stops, and go up a little bit here. So because I'm not gonna, I'd rather, this is a smaller bait, and I'll probably do this in sections. And then I'll come over and do it. I'll just finish it up. Okay. That kind of gave me about what I was looking for. So I'll flip it over and I'll lock it down, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna use the lower end of the stencil because it's just smaller, that's all. I think it'll just make it look a little bit more uniform. Okay, I think that turned out good. May have came up a little, I need to come up a little bit higher here. Okay, I think that did it. So I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna come back and we'll kind of play with some colors on the top and maybe add a few candies to it. All right, so what we're gonna do now, we've done our stencil work on the sides, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some sepia to do the top, and then I may come back across that with a little bit of candy. So we're still on low pressure, and we're just gonna come across that top. And I'm gonna let that dry, and I'm gonna put a few coats on that. All right, so that is dried. And while I was off camera, I went ahead and mixed 2 candy colors. I mixed a Candy 2O Poison Green, and I mixed some Dirt Track Brown, and I'm gonna let them sit. But while we're letting that sit, we're gonna go ahead and put a Gill Dot on the side of this bait here. So this is just an old Insane Custom brim stencil that I've cut up. So if you haven't checked out Russ's stuff, you need to go check him out. He's got some great stencils. So I'm just gonna line it up on this line here on this DT10, and I'm gonna run it up probably about halfway, and I'm gonna make that black. I tell you what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut some of that off. I don't want it to be too big. And I'm just gonna spray up to the line. And we'll pull that off, and that turned out really cool. So we'll flip it over and we'll do the other side. I'll just tap that off to make sure I don't hit it on that. It comes out the angle about below the eye, so that's what I'll run it to when I do this. And I'm just gonna shorten it up a little bit. Got a little dry tip. Okay, and that turned out good. So we're gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna come back with just a little bit of white. All right, so we're back and we've gotten this dried off, and we're gonna come back with the same stencil, and I'm just gonna tip the end of this with white for a pumpkin seed. And all you gotta do is just line it up just like you did to put the black on, and just take the end and make it white. It's still a little light. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my gun. I don't know why. Okay, there we go. So we'll take it, just get a little bit of white on there, allow that to dry. We'll come back over and we'll do the same thing on this side. And we'll let that dry. All right, so we have that done and it's dry. So now we're gonna take some of this poison green that I've had mixed up, I'm just gonna put a little bit in the gun. It's on low pressure. And what I'm gonna do is, you know, at the beginning of the video, I came with the orange and a little bit of light green, yellow, a kind of a mix. And I'm just gonna run a little bit of this green right here. I don't wanna cover up all the white, but it'll soften up the black from the stencil. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, so we'll let that dry because we don't heat set candy, so I'm gonna have to let that dry. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna put some Dirt Track brown candy on the top of the bait. All right, so that candy, the poison green, is dry, and now what I'm gonna do is I've mixed up some Dirt Track brown, and I'm gonna go over the top with this brown candy over the sepia. So I'm gonna add a little bit to the gun. It's on low pressure, and I'm just gonna run over the top. I'm gonna let some of it bleed down. I'm okay with that. And I'm gonna let that dry, and we'll do another coat, and then I'll be right back. All right, so we've got everything done. I'll put these eyes in, and what I'm gonna use is just a big pupil yellow eye for this bait. And then we'll go over everything we've done and put a coat of UVLS over the top of this. So we're gonna lock it down. Just get these eyes set in. I think the yellow eyes really kind of jump off that brown candy that I put on the top of the bait. So now what we'll do, I'll just go ahead and pre-mix some UVLS in the gun. I'm not gonna need a whole lot. And then we'll cover up the bait. And then I'll go over everything that we did. All right, so we got the UVLS in the gun, and we're just gonna get a good wet coat on it. You can hit the bill. Just get you a good wet coat on it. Okay. So we'll let that dry. I'll come back and we'll go over everything that we've done. All right, so we've got the bait ready for resin. Here's a kind of an up close look at it. Turned out really cool. I think it'll be a fish catching color. So let's just get some resin on it and get it in the box. It'll really brighten up once I put this resin on it. And this is a smooth bait, so that's another really good thing. It's gonna coat really well, and it'll have a really good finish. That Candy 2.0 brown is just a fantastic color. If you don't have that in your arsenal, it is just really a cool one. Especially with these smooth baits, you won't have to put a lot on it. It'll do a really good job and be smooth. It'll clear the bill right on up. Just watch your hook hangers. And we'll get this bottom good. Make sure it's got a good coating on it. Okay. And we will get this in the box and I will show you the finished results. All right, so we have the lure out of the box. Turned out really cool looking. So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you'll know when I have upcoming videos. And like I always say, I'll catch you next time. Thanks.